Well, we do get a fair share of telephone calls, usually, once that takes place. And that's usually related to problems that people have after they have to reset their watches and clocks. But I guess that's normal. We have to live with that.
It's kind of a bother because you have to remember to turn the clocks back. And there's always that frantic moment leading up to it, not knowing, is the newspaper actually going to print the news that there is daylight savings time? Or if I forget to buy a newspaper that day, will I remember that it's daylight savings time? And then will I get to work late? Will I get into trouble? It's just a lot of bother because I don't know how to program any of these things that we have in the house. I mean, I don't know how the microwave works. All I know is that you push a button and it goes on. I don't know how to... Well, that's why I got married. Anyways, daylight savings time to me is just a waste of time.
I think it's simpler to simply keep it at the same time all year round, rather than changing it twice a year. It does cause a bit of confusion. Some people forget to adjust their watches, then they're late.
And it was early morning, 7 o'clock in the morning meeting, and of course I showed up at 7, and I was wondering why this other person hasn't showed up yet, but of course the clocks have moved back 1 hour, and myself being in the business, you'd think I'd know. But unfortunately, you know, we don't always keep those things in the top of our heads.
I would be happier the system remained as it is, because I prefer to have that change of the seasons where we go into autumn and you lose that hour.
But in actual fact, you know, if we lose it and then gain it again, are we really gaining anything?
What we did was we looked at several years' worth of traffic accident data. And what we found is that in the spring, when everybody loses an hour's worth of sleep, in fact, there is a jump in the number of automobile accidents. It jumps up by about 7%.
Upon reflection of a very serious car accident that I had last spring, in which I was very sleep deprived from, and as a result, you know, just destroyed my car, I attribute that directly to daylight savings time.
It is likely to be the case that a 6% or 7% increase in the number of deaths on any given day over a period of some 10 years is going to add up to tens of thousands of deaths.
I just don't think the daylight savings time has any benefit on my life. It doesn't make things easier. It's just, why do it?
The reason why daylight savings time exists is in order to save money. I mean, it's just a simple power-saving trick. You cut down on energy use because you don't need the lights on as long, and you do that by adjusting the hours that people are awake. Is that extra power saved worth an additional number of lives?
I would say that daylight savings time isn't nearly as relevant because of the fact that we're living in a very efficient, we live in a very efficient day. We have a lot more technology that's available to us to help us save the energy rather than not using that energy at all. A lot of the options that are out there for people include things like lighting, something very simple. We've got appliances that are much more efficient than they used to be. They run on electricity now as opposed to oil and gas. So you don't need to use those resources anymore, which were very much less efficient than the resources we have today.
If somebody asked me, you know, should we keep daylight savings time? And suppose, for the moment, that there's no economic benefit to be gotten from keeping it, my own feeling is that we probably don't need it. It's certainly the case that if you're a farmer, your cows are going to want to be milked the same hour, regardless of what time the clock says. It is certainly the case that after the shift to daylight savings time, my dogs wake up in the morning and want me to walk them at exactly the same amount of time.
I would just leave it on daylight savings time all year round, just for simplicity's sake. You know, we always try to make our life a little easier.
My feeling is that keeping things simple is probably the easiest thing. If one argues that daylight savings time is a complication, then maybe we should get rid of it.
Daylight savings time, interesting concept, but in application, I don't know how much it actually saves the person in the long run.
If you want to know who to blame for daylight savings time, blame Benjamin Franklin. And by the way, he did it originally as a joke.
Hour. Does anybody have the correct time? Daylight saving time. We're done. 1 hour is gone. That's it.